Well, I asked, where's the beef? Let's call this for what this is. Oh my God! They are so hopelessly woke. How dare you? That is the intellectual capital of the left today. Give me a break. You are now watching the Daily Roundup. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have tuned into the Daily Roundup on this, a Friday, February the 10th, 2023. I'm David Menzies, and my co-host, well, let me tell you a little bit about my co-host. Do you know, folks, today is all the news that's fit to print day, but my friend doesn't celebrate this day. After all, she already celebrates April Fool's Day, so really, what's the difference? She is the La Dibelisse avec un épée. That means she-devil with a sword for all you anglophones out there. She is the Khaleesi of Quebec. She is Alexa Lavoie. Hey, Alexa, how you doing there?
I'm very good, and you, David?
I'm sorry to massacre the French language in one sentence, but I did my best, you know. Well, listen.
It's La Diablesse.
Oh, right. Everyone's a critic, folks. What can I tell you? I failed French, I think, was it grade 10 or no, failed math in grade 11, failed French, I think, grade 9. It just, you're looking at one big failure on wheels here. But wow, Alexa, first of all, thank you for filling in for Sheila. And we have so much to talk about today. Mm-hmm. So many important stories, and you are front and center regarding one of the stories that's making its way back into even the mainstream media these days. That would be the shenanigans happening at Roxham Road, which is at the border of upstate New York and Quebec. But before we go on, this is where Sheila usually says what it is we're doing here, and I guess I'll defer to you for that housekeeping.
But we do a daily live stream. We talk about opinion on different topic in actuality. You can watch us on YouTube, Rumble. Now we have, you will need to help me because now we're like with all the platforms that go on and out. I don't remember which one is. Get her in Twitter. So you can watch us. You can watch us a little bit everywhere. If you want to interact with us, please send us some super chat. It's really important so we can answer your question, and it will be easier for us to interact with you also.
100%, and we always love your opinions, folks, and when you give us a contribution, that's what keeps the lights on here, unlike all the members of the mainstream media on this, all the news that's fit to print day. We don't get subsidized by the Prime Minister Justin Sugar Daddy Trudeau. So that's what allows us to keep it real. So, Alexa, like I said, so much happening, but you know, this is an absolutely fascinating story. You and Guillaume were on Roxham Road recently, and thank goodness you were, because you tell it like it is. And so much happened. I think we have some footage, but maybe you want to explain to the audience what it is exactly we're about to witness here.
So everybody know the infamous Roxham Road, where some migrant from US is coming for seeking asylum. But the problem is like now the US, specifically New York, is contributing with our problem with the illegal immigrant that come into Canada. Now the mayor, Eric Adam, is now paying and offering free bus ticket paid by taxpayer for going elsewhere than New York City. But you will understand that most of them wants to take the bus to Plattsburgh. And Plattsburgh, it's about not even like 20 minutes drive from Roxham Road. So where they actually took a cab to Roxham Road. So the announcement was made this week. So me and Guillaume, we went to the border to observe if something was happening, if they had more entries that was going on. And when we went there, so many other journalists were on the US side. And I was like, okay, I've been to Roxham Road so many times and I never saw journalists, especially on the US side. So right now we have all the world looking at us, Canadian, with our infamous illegal crossing border, where US is actually just sending them to us, crossing there, and everybody say, what is going on in Canada? Why they are accepting that? And yeah, so now I was waiting for one of the bus that was arriving to Plattsburgh from New York at 3:30. And it was incredible because maybe about 20 minutes after the bus arrived in Plattsburgh, we saw about 3 cabs arriving back to back with bunch of family, other different people, some from Pakistan, some from Africa, some from different place. And I was asking them, okay, how did you get to Plattsburgh? And a lot of people were like, okay, we took the bus from New York. And I was okay. So it's really something that is happening. And I was talking with one of the members of the RCMP, and he actually said that he think that the situation will increase more and more with the announcement that just happened like this week.
Unbelievable. And we'll talk about this after we run the footage, Alexa. Thanks to your due diligence, you and Guillaume, we now know precisely what a bus ticket costs from New York City to Plattsburgh. But before we go on, folks, why don't we roll this fascinating footage and then we'll further analyze it on the other side.
Monsieur, de ce côté-là, vous êtes en état d'arrestation pour entrée illégale au Canada, okay? So, whatever you say will be taken down in writing and can be used as evidence against you. You have the right to remain silent, okay? You are police officers. You're under arrest for illegal.
Vous êtes arrivé, vous avez pris l'autobus de New York à Plattsburgh et vous avez pris après un taxi?
Oui, taxi.
The same clip, guys? Yep. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same.
Okay,
we have another one, but we can play it after.
Well, you know, Alexa, there you have it, the raw footage. I know we're going to edit a more comprehensive report. So much to pick apart here. For example, I alluded to the bus ticket. I believe it's $66 to travel to Plattsburgh. And how did Alexa and Guillaume find that out, folks? Well, somebody just dropped their bus ticket on the ground. You know, this isn't the biggest part of this illegal immigrant migration into Quebec, Alexa, but it speaks volumes. You're already illegal aliens. You're into Canada, and one of the first things you do is you litter. You just have no respect for the country that is now going to put you up in a nice hotel and give you 3 square meals a day and basically pamper you. I don't think I saw the RCMP acting as a Royal Canadian bellhop service in the last clip. I don't know if they're doing that anymore. But there's that. And what really irks me, Alexa, is that when you are a migrant and you are fleeing persecution, although we do know that many of these people are economic migrants. They just don't want to get in line and go through the rules like other immigrants do. Once you land in a safe haven country, and that would be the United States of America, that's it. You're across the finish line. You are America's situation to deal with. Even when we go back to, I think it was 2017 when Justin Trudeau sent out that ludicrous hashtag welcome to Canada, that was Trudeau taking a jab at the then U.S. President Donald Trump. But there is no Trump administration in the United States anymore, as if that was any kind of a threat to migrants coming into America. It's now the Democrats and it's sleepy old Joe Biden in the White House. And yet still, this is happening. And as you mentioned from that RCMP officer, he expects it to get worse. And the utter audacity of the mayor of New York and his regime, Alexa, funding $66 bus tickets, and then, oh, that solves that problem. Meanwhile, what are we incurring long-term for housing, feeding, legal action, everything you can? It's going to be in the millions and millions and millions of dollars. And that's why the mayor of New York City doesn't want this burden. So he just tosses this hot potato to us. It's kind of like a perverse form, I think, Alexa, of human trafficking.
But because I would say, like, first time that the migrant were open to talk to me, I don't know if it's the effect of many journalists around, so they were more open to talk. But some of them were like, I say, how did you get there? Like, some of them, like, before, like, the big bunch of people, because you saw one instances where we had migrants coming through, but we had other one before. And I was talking with a Colombian family who arrived, like, I think there were 6 of them. And I was, how did you get there? And she was telling me, oh, we have a friend with a van who drove us to Plattsburgh. And I was like, okay, but if it's a friend with a van, why didn't drive you to the border? If it's like a friend, or it's just like some kind of, I don't know, like some people who do business to drive people around US to the border, because now it's a thing, because we know that some van is starting in Florida to drive all the way to Roxham Road. And I was talking with them and I was like, how did you heard that you were capable to enter in Canada by Roxham Road? And some of them say, by talking, people like were telling us where to go. And I was like, who? They say, but everybody know that road. And I was like, okay. So now everybody know that road because now it's like very famous. We let that go too far, because now it's known everywhere. And the thing is, so now they will try to close probably the road, or probably never. But same if we close it, people will still go there because now it's known everywhere. So our problem is bigger and bigger and bigger, and nobody seems to act, especially not the liberal federal government, who don't dare to do anything. And now we have the PQ, Pierre Saint-Paul Plamondon, who have bring into the table a new project of law to bring the Quebec police to act. But what they are going to do, we have already RCMP who are going and arresting the illegal immigrant. But what are they gonna do? They will arrest them too, bring them to immigration and put them in the hotel? So it will create the same situation, but paying more and more police for doing the same job.
I think you're right, Alexa. And we should address, I think, the unspoken strategy here, because I believe that the very lowest benchmark of what makes a nation is border security. If you can't defend your own borders from invaders, then you're not really much of a country to begin with. People ask why, when that Chinese balloon was flying across Canada en route to continental US, why didn't we shoot it down? Are you kidding? NORAD is more concerned about putting out Santa Claus notices on Christmas Eve than shooting down a spy balloon. I mean, why would we shut down a spy balloon when we can't even maintain border security at Roxham Road? But getting back to my original point, Alexa, I think this is the Justin Trudeau Liberals trying to change the demographics of Canada, much like Joe Biden Democrats are trying to change the demographics of the U.S. And it's basically this. In Canada's case, don't forget who let you waltz right in. Don't forget who let you break all the rules. Don't forget who didn't make you wait in line and spend years trying to become an actual legal immigrant to Canada. It was us, Team Red. So every 4 years, make sure you vote red. And that's the quid pro quo, changing the demographics so that you have so many new Canadians that say, you know what? This was the Justin Trudeau Liberals that allowed us to break every rule in the book and come here. And if it means just showing up every 4 years to put a ballot in the box for a Liberal, that's not much of an ask. What do you think, Alexa?
But the fact that, I'm sorry to say that, I'm like, legal immigration is a good process because we check the paper, we check the background, we check everything of the people who are entering Canada. So we are sure that these people will contribute in a positive way to our country.
Yep.
The illegal immigration, people need to understand that they just come, we are throwing them to immigration and after that to the hotel. Before they get heard by a judge, we can take 3 years. But before that, they will have a court ruling to have a brown paper to allow them to stay. I think it's about 3 or 5 years. I don't know the exact time. But these people, we don't know their background,
Yep.
who they are. We don't know if they have a criminal record. We don't know anything about who they are. And during the 3 years before they get hurt, they can just disappear into Canada and never heard about them again.
Yep.
So it's just because some people don't understand, or some people say, oh, it's okay, let them enter. Like, anyway, we need like some employee. We have a lack of employee. We need like more people to contribute. Yes, but at what point do you want to have some people who you really don't know the background and you just like let them like entering? You are not scared for your children. You are not scared for, I don't know, the system. You don't care for the security of the nation. So it's kind of tricky because I was talking with some people in Montreal about the problem, and most of them seems to not really care.
That's amazing. Well, then again, not really, Alexa. It never fails to baffle me whenever I go to Yonge Dundas Square in downtown Toronto to do streeters, how basically 90% of the people I ask a question of, and this is stuff that's front page news, such as one of my favorite examples when Andrew Scheer became the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. That's pretty big news. That might be the future prime minister, and it's all over the press. And we were showing his official photo, so it wasn't some blurry or distorted photo. And easily 90% of the people that we asked, simple question, do you recognize who this man is? And it was no. And I'll never forget one young lady, she went, oh, yeah, I know who that is. And her answer was, it's Paul Bernardo, the infamous serial killer. So, you've touched upon something, which is how so many people are disengaged about so many important things, in terms of the news cycle. Oh, yeah, if you want to talk about Kim Kardashian's latest bathing suit or who the starting quarterbacks are for the Super Bowl this Sunday. They'll talk chapter and verse, but when it comes to what's directly affecting their lives, so don't feel bad that there was such an amount of disengagement. But you raise an interesting point. When they are coming into Quebec, I know they're not, all of them are staying in Quebec. I know for certain many go to Toronto because the shelter spaces are just filled with illegal aliens. Mayor John Tory has spoken about this. We don't have the space. We don't have the money. But, you know, Alexa, if you were to explain I shouldn't say explain, if you were to poll Quebecers on this issue, what is the approval? Do the majority say, yeah, I'm cool with open borders, come one, come all? Or are Quebecers going, hang on here, for all the reasons you discussed, we don't know who these people are. We don't know if they're bringing in any kind of diseases. We don't know if they have a criminal record. I mean, I'll tell you this much. If I was a terrorist trying to get into a nation, this would be the perfect way to do it. Just pretend I'm a migrant in need of a safe haven. So what is your gut feeling in terms of how much popular support there is for this, Alexa, in Quebec?
I would say this is a really huge polarization topic. It's really hard to talk to people about it. And by the way, François Legault said that he's working with Trudeau to probably move them to other country, other province. So
well, that solves
maybe.
everything.
But the fact that sometimes when you talk to people about immigration, people get really, really angry and aggressive right away. Like I saw it when I was doing my streeter. People were like, oh, I have nothing to say about it. I was like, okay, but calm down. Like, because people are so scared to be called, anti-immigration or racist or like other like bad name. Like just by example, like with the new project of law that the leader of the PQ, Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon, have called. He had been called like the new Trump decision maker. And you see, just because he wants to try to solve the problem and bring some idea, he have been called by name. Yeah. So it's what I think French Quebecers do. It's putting, how you call it, like, etiquette, like when you put a label on someone right away because you say something for protecting your nation, but in the same time it just polarizes the people because people just say, I don't want to be labeled or be called by name, so I would just follow and just make sure that I have no opinion so people cannot like ask me questions.
You know, it's such appalling cowardice, Alexa, because I'm not anti-immigration. I mean, given the birth rate of Canada being below 2, you need immigrants to, fill in the positions that people are retiring from, Canadians that are dying, etc., because of our very low birth rate, which is common across Western countries. The thing is, there's a difference between applying to go to a country and filling out all the documentation and, yes, waiting until it's vetted, as opposed to skipping the line and going through illegally. And if people don't understand the difference of that, and if they're going to make political hay by demonizing a politician as being anti-immigrant and for basically saying, I want these people to follow the rules, that is, like I said, it's cowardice and it's fake outrage. It is just despicable. And on your point, I love that, Legault, oh my goodness, he's getting right up into the orbit of sneaky Patrick Brown, isn't he? He meets with Trudeau not to come up with a solution like, oh, I don't know, build a fence, a wall, but no, let's figure out a way to offload Quebec's problems to the rest of Canada. You know what reminds me, and we'll talk about this after the break, Alexa, this week, it was reported that Busty Lemieux, that shop teacher with those Z-cup breasts and the protruding fake nipples through his blouse, he's back at Oakville Trafalgar High School. Why is that? Well, for the last several months, the Halton District School Board thought the way to handle this situation was not to, come up with a dress code and enforce it like they do to the students. No, it was to transfer him to other schools in the region and go, I hope nobody notices. It's pretty hard to notice a biological male, with Z-cup breasts with nipples protruding, okay? So these geniuses at the uber woke and uber woeful Halton District School Board, they just threw up their arms and said, oh, there's nothing we can do. Everybody, all the students, all the parents are acting with outrage at the other schools. Just release them again back at Oakville Trafalgar High School. Unbelievable. Maybe we can talk about that, but I think we're up against the half-hour break. So,
should we just read quickly the 2 super chat that we have?
Oh, sure.
So we have Annalisa, 1964. She say, "Good morning, Alexis." I think it's Alexa. And of course, my sweet Menzies. Work has been busy, but I catch the show at night. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Thank you. But I think the Alexis, a lot of people call me Alexia, and I say, where they take the I?
Maybe something lost in translation, but Annalisa, she's such a sweetheart. And I noticed how you were stumbling to say the phrase "sweet Menzies," but she's so kind, and that was a very generous donation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And we have Cheryl Danby. Serious question. Do the migrant crossing at Roxham Road get searched for drug or illegal weapon? So, yes, I saw through the window that they are doing a full body search, and they ask for their passport and their paper money when they arrive. And I recall one time that someone came in with a bracelet on his ankle, but we never knew if it was a criminal one or anything, but it was a bracelet because I on one of my previous report, you can see it. I think it's on rebelfieldreport.com. We heard the RCMP saying, "Here we go, we have a man with a bracelet," and I was like shocked because I was like, okay, which kind of bracelet can we know? Like, if he's actually screaming that, it's probably because it's a serious bracelet, So it's just like some kind of people like that.
So in other words,
the border.
Alexa, you think perhaps that this was one of these ankle bracelets that are used to track people that are under, say, house arrest to make sure they stay in their neighborhood. And this guy's going illegally into another country? Are you kidding me? That's not a red flag for anyone? It's unbelievable. This is, oh my goodness. This is very bad in terms of broadcasting, but I'm without words. I'm just stunned by the lack of due diligence and the outrageousness. This is clearly, I don't know anyone that wears a bracelet on their ankle for decorative purposes, Alexa. I don't know what you wear on your ankles. I certainly. So that is just another shocking thing. And I know our colleague Tamara raised in the morning meeting today, it was I think it was a report, but there's like a little cottage industry of U.S. border guards that on their free time, they're acting as sort of a taxi or Uber service to bring illegal migrants to the Roxham Road illegal or irregular, as our Prime Minister calls it, crossing. Isn't that the very definition of human trafficking? It's almost right up there as putting a migrant in your trunk and smuggling him or her into the country. I mean, this This is astonishing.
The worst one is when we learn from La Presse that they talk with a young man, is 17 years old, he's still like a child, and their parents from the Middle East send him alone to the border and to try to get the citizenship. And afterwards, the parent will be able to come to Canada. But they send a child alone, and I heard that it's now a tactic from family because they have less probably money or for doing all the road to get there. So they send like one children, and it's easier to get. And so the children finished in the foster family, and they get their citizenship. And after that, yeah.
Well, that is shameful parenting. I can't imagine any parent taking those kind of risks to do that. Absolutely shocking. Well, Alexa, we shall take a very quick break. And on the other side of it, let's talk about Busty Lemieux, the person with those giant Zeppelin-sized breasts back at Oakville Trafalgar High School and being very much protected by the Halton District School Board. And we'll contrast that with another fellow, Josh Alexander, a teenager who was arrested for trying to go to his school, a Catholic school, and his crime, well, it was embracing Catholic doctrine. Yet again, folks, another example of how the world is completely upside down. In any event, we'll be right back after this.
Oh, hey guys, thanks for watching the live stream, and sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to pop on to tell you about this incredible sweatshirt that I'm wearing, but also all the other great merchandise that we have available at rebelnewsstore.com. We're adding new stuff all the time, so be sure to keep checking. Even if you shop today, there might be something new tomorrow. And if you are shopping, be sure to use the coupon code Sheila10 for 10% off at checkout. Again, it's rebelnewsstore.com, coupon code Sheila10 for 10% off at checkout.
There you go. Well, Alexa, as I said before the break, it is just astonishing to me, and we'll be venturing out to Halton District for our latest update on Busty Lemieux. I'm just wondering if he's gone parachuting lately with Canada's foremost male conservative porn star. Not making this up, because there you go. Look at that. I don't think he should do that right now. What with all these Chinese balloons flying across the continent, he might get shot down on false pretense. But, Alexa, it is incredible that this school board, like I said earlier, their strategy was just to place him somewhere else. But of course, you can't help but notice that this person is an obvious biological male pretending to be a female, or rather being a gross caricature of a female. And to enforce a dress code like they would to female students, that would be transphobic. Oh, and to enforce the shop etiquette code, that would be transphobic, because he's breaking every rule in the book, Alexa. Long sleeves, long hair not done up in a bun, jewelry, and he's around all kinds of power saws. So the Halton District School Board will bend over backwards to accommodate somebody who, well, might not be a trans individual, might be a prankster, might be a sexual pervert. We don't know. They won't even ask these questions. Meanwhile, pardon me?
A drag queen?
Yeah.
It looked like more that.
Meanwhile, Josh Alexander in, I believe it's Renfrew County in Ottawa, he is first expelled and then arrested for showing up to his school. And what was his crime? Well, he's saying there are two sexes. There is male and female. And yes, you can take hormones. And yes, you can slice and dice your genitalia. At the end of the day, you are in pretend mode. You are still a biological male and a biological female. Now, Alexa, that is not only Catholic doctrine, that is science. And I think for 2.5 years now, we've been preached to follow the science, follow the science. Here's a kid following the science, but for the woke staff at the school and that school board, the silence is deafening. I would love to read. have a journalist reach out to, say, the bishop in the area, or how about this, even the Pope in Vatican City, and go, what's your opinion on this? How is this being tolerated?
I will say it should not, since you're exposing children to it. I don't care what you're doing in your home, in your daily life. This is your choice. You do whatever you want. But when you go and you expose the children to it, and you make them uncomfortable, and you make them to being sexualized by oversized, I don't know how to call that. It's not a boob, it's not breast, it's nothing. It's for me, it's just grotesque. Imagine how the children would be disturbed afterwards to have this kind of teacher and all the questions that they will have in their head and asking themselves, is it normal? So who will answer all these questions? Of course, like the parents will say, no, it's not normal. So why the school let that happen?
No, you're quite right. And the cockamamie excuse going back to November. So, Alexa, I should tell you and our viewers, they are again investigating, and because it's a school board, it doesn't take 3 days, it takes 3 months, whether they can enforce a dress code for faculty. Now, if you're getting a sense of deja vu, it is well deserved, because back in November, they had a report where they investigated it, and they said, we cannot enforce a dress code because it opens us up to liability under human rights legislation. Now, Alexa, I can tell you, Canada's top labor lawyers, including Howard Levitt, said this is garbage. This is BS. Even in a unionized environment, you can have a dress code. Of course you can. So again, it's almost as though this woke school board, it operates under the slogan of, if it's trans, it's good, and if it's good, it's trans, and if you say anything contrary, you are a transphobe. Now, the preliminary report is due next Wednesday at the school board meeting. I cannot be there to cover it, folks, because if I show up, you might know this, I am banned for life from the Halton District School Board and all their schools under threat of trespass and a $10,000 fine. My sin? Asking impolite questions. Yeah, so they have no tolerance for that. But we'll be keeping our eyes on that. But I'm wondering, Alexa, what changed from November to February? Why is it they said we can't have a dress code for faculty? And, well, we don't know what they're going to say next week. So we can't, I can't even guess. But, Alexa, it doesn't seem right to me that they're playing the human rights card in terms of not enforcing a dress code for teachers when they enforce a dress code for students. Like a girl that shows up with just spaghetti strap top in the summertime, she's going to get a suspension. That's not allowed. They have a dress code for Halloween costumes, which basically bans every fun and frightening costume you can think of. But they can't have a dress code for teachers that are clearly dressing inappropriately. What's your take on this?
I'm wondering if it's the fact that Bastille will not comply to the dress code, and at one point they will need to sanction her or he, I don't know how to call Bastille. But the fact that if they go to sanction this, and they need to fire that person, they will have probably a lawsuit against them, putting on the human gender or transgenderist, the card that you were talking, just because that person will not comply to the dress code that they will that will put on place. So I think it's because she would not comply to it, and they would probably face a situation where they have no choice to act as a sanction or firing.
Well, if that is the case, Alexa, how about this? Let's put it to the test. Let's implement a dress code for teachers, and if Busty Lemieux or anyone else has a grievance and they're going to launch a lawsuit or go to a kangaroo court like the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal, then let's fight it. Let's hash it out there and see if we win or lose. Because I think when you have a guy like Howard Levitt who charges about $1,000 an hour and has forgotten more about labor law than either of us will ever learn, when I hear from him that this is balderdash, that they can have a dress code even in a unionized environment, that's good enough for me. And I can't imagine, I mean, school boards spend like drunken sailors. I can't imagine they're not pursuing this because suddenly they're fiscal conservatives. You know what I'm saying? So let's put it to the test. You know, maybe they're right, but you know what? I'm betting they're not, Alexa.
You know, the problem here is like people say conservative or liberal or anything. No, the problem is like right now, it's like people with distortion.
Yep.
And mental distortion or with like, how you say it, like when someone have a fetishes. Before, because I remember in my time, like people had some, but they were hiding it because it was not well viewed in the society. And now these people can reinvent their distortion or their fetishes into a new gender or a new kind of people or a new kind of, you know, playing the card of LGBTQ. And now the left is using it as a tool. And this is the problem right now.
But you know what? On that point, though, Alexa, what makes this story particularly fascinating is when we look out and try to see who Busty Lemieux's allies are. Well, he has none except the members of the Halton District School Board and their incredibly woke director, Curtis Innes, he, him. What I'm getting at is that, do you notice how quiet the trans community has been? They haven't been going to bat for him. In fact, I understand from the parents group, Students First Ontario, that are threatening a lawsuit against the Halton District School Board, that they have a trans person coming to next Wednesday's meeting, and this person is on the parent side. And, you know, I've seen on social media trans people posting, thanks Lemieux for setting the trans cause back 20 years. Because, Alexa, at the end of the day, I've said this often, you and I, we've probably been in a shopping mall, a grocery store, an arena, you name it, where there has been trans individuals. And we didn't know that that man or that woman once upon a time was the opposite sex because they blended in so perfectly. And that's the thing that raises alarm bells, or should have raised alarm bells. Genuine trans people, from what I can see, they don't try to exaggerate, you know, themselves as a grotesque caricature of either a female or a male, as you said, a drag queen character. They don't want the attention. They want to be looking like a member of the opposite sex. So that's why I think the trans community isn't going to bat for this individual. They smell a rat too. So what in blue hell is taking the Halton District School Board so long to set, you know, to do something appropriate, something as lame as a dress code so that nipples, fake nipples, aren't protruding out of this guy's blouse? It's unbelievable, Alexa.
We need to know what is going on, like behind the closed door, when they talk between them, because, as you say, like a transgender person, you can even not notice it. Like like online, you can see tons of them. And I would say, like myself, I would not know like if which sex the person born with, because wow, it's just now you can really do a great job. But that person, first of all, you can know that he was a man before, because he still look like a man when you don't look at the giant breast. Um, but anyway, it doesn't look like at all like a transgender
Exactly.
at all. Because a transgender, they will have their real hair. I don't even think that is real hair at all.
Oh, no, it's a wig.
And the makeup is grotesque too
Yep.
much too.
Yep.
As everything is too much. It just over put too much stuff for, I don't know for which purpose. Probably he likes to show it himself as he look like. But this passed to like a side of mental illness.
Yeah. Nobody, Alexa, and I mean nobody, believes this is a genuine male to female transition. So it's one of only two things. This is somebody pranking the school board over their wokeness. There's a lot of chatter on social media about that. Or this is a sexual pervert. This is someone that might suffer from autogenophilia, which is a lot of males who transition into females. They get sexually aroused by wearing, the clothes of females, high heel shoes, fake breasts, etc. But again, for this school board to even investigate that, it's off the table. They're too worried about being called transphobes. Unbelievable. As I've always said, Alexa, in my journalistic career, it seems that every time I venture into a school board, it's populated by the most stupid people on the planet. It really is. But enough about Busty Lemieux. I think we have a video.
I just wanted to tell you, soon Busty Lemieux will be able to get pregnant with the fake womb. Imagine with the boobs and the womb on the top. Oh my God.
Unbelievable. I love the way you say Busty Lemieux with your French accent. It just sounds so like he's a performer from vaudeville from yestercentury. But why don't we talk about, I see on the transgender file, this is scary. Womb transplants for transgender women will soon be possible, doctors say. Alexa, should this really be the major concern of medical science right now?
No.
Womb transplants? And by the way, I thought all the elites from the World Economic Forum to the United Nations to the World Health Organization, they're all about depopulating the planet. Now it seems that we're getting candidates that formerly couldn't give birth to give birth. I mean, holy Dr. Frankenstein. As a biological woman, Alexa, what do you say about this?
I would say, like, first of all, we still not have like any medical procedure to help people with cancer, but we can now put men pregnant. So
Great
exciting.
point.
Like, yeah. So you have so many stuff in the science that we didn't find anything, and we still have people dying from. But now they are putting so much money and effort to be able to get a man having a baby. And I read the article, and it's like really scary.
And but Alexa, you've nailed it. What's at the root of this? It's money. Because when we look at, private hospitals, this is a whole new revenue stream for them, transgender surgery. And now, hey, in for a penny, in for a pound, right? Let's also have surgeries so that you, as a biological male, can actually carry a female. I'm sure those surgeries are in the thousands and thousands of dollars, and they are extremely profitable for these hospitals. So they'll do it. And God forbid if a doctor speaks out about it, because I'm telling you, they'll show you the door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And imagine like what it will look like. Like now men and women will have like some womb. I don't live in that society. I'm sorry, but that would be like really weird.
Yeah, it's, and the way it's being normalized and the way it's being, sold to young people. There, last month, there was a Joker comic that came out, from the Batman universe. And allegedly some sorceress made him transgender, I suppose. But the bottom line is became pregnant. And he goes to a gynecologist, and the image of a gynecologist looking up the tradesman's entrance of the Joker, that's kind of disturbing. But the way in which he gives birth is he vomits up a little baby Joker. And you know what? I believe in freedom of expression and whatnot, but comic books appeal to children. I know there's a large adult market for them as well. And this, to me, Alexa, seems like a normalization process. The idea of, hey, the Joker, who, by the way, I think by anyone's standard is mentally ill, he can become pregnant. And we don't have to worry about female sex organs. He just vomits up the baby. Does that bother you as much as it bothers me, Alexa?
But what is bothering me more is like the woman have been born with the system to get birth to a healthy baby. So our system is programmed for sending the good amount of nutriment, the good amount of everything to the womb, whereas the baby is there for feeding and having a healthy baby. The man doesn't have the system for it. The man, I think the baby who comes out will not be as healthy as a normal baby, since the man would need to take so much different pills to get to the baby, or injection to get the same amount of nutriment. But some of them, like only female can produce it. So it's remains to be seen, like the first baby getting out of it, and if the baby is normal all of his life.
100%, Alexa, you nailed it again. My heart breaks for these future children to be born by a man. I don't think this story ends well. We were already moving to a world that George Orwell envisioned, 1984. Now we're getting into Brave New World territory, Huxley's book as well. It's a combination of both hells, it would seem. And we'll just have to keep our eyes on what happens to these children growing up. But, here's the thing. To even question this, and the reason why so many people don't take a stance is because they don't want to be targeted. They don't want to be doxxed. They don't want to be called transphobes and bigots and you name it. Mm-hmm. And it's the tyranny of the minority, Alexa. And a big part, I think, when it comes to the transgender minority, we're talking people with mental illness problems. Because I'm sorry, if you find that this is normal by any benchmark, I think you need to see a psychiatrist.
And yeah, I agree. I agree totally with you.
Boy, we're going to both be hauled before a human rights tribunal in the future. I can tell that. Very important story. We should get to it. It's what's happening at Project Veritas. I believe we have a video of that. And of course, we need to talk about the James O'Keefe situation, which is very troubling to me. Efren or Olivia, do we have the video for the Pfizer CEO being busted? Okay.
Albert.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Albert Bourla. Your company, Pfizer... Excuse me, don't push me. Mr. Albert Bourla, why did your company, Pfizer, avoid responding to multiple press inquiries from Project Veritas regarding Dr. Jordan Walker? Mr. Bourla, your Pfizer employees are telling our journalists this information. Why not just be transparent? What do you have to hide? What's the big secret, Mr. Bourla? What are you doing here today? Are you worried that you're going to be called before Congress to testify on whether or not Pfizer lied about testing on the COVID virus? Or are you confident your lobbyists have paid enough Pfizer money? Are you worried that you're going to be called before Congress to testify on whether or not Pfizer lied about testing on the COVID virus? Or are you confident your lobbyists have paid enough Pfizer money to elected officials to avoid oversight and scrutiny? Is that what you're doing here today, sir?
Yeah, how much money do you have?
Do not touch me.
Keep that out of my face.
We're journalists, okay?
No, you're not.
Mr. Bourla, would you like to sit down with an interview for Project Veritas? Who can we talk to? Do you talk to any journalists at all?
Bottom line, huh?
Good job, guys. Are you guys the elected officials that are helping him avoid oversight and scrutiny? Would anybody like to comment? What are you guys going to discuss? Do we like quiet meetings and closed doors?
Okay.
Just asking.
Well, Alexa, if anything, it looks like Mr. Bourla is consistent. He gave the same kind of interview to the Project Veritas journalist as he gave to Ezra Levant in Davos, Switzerland last month, which is to say, cat got your tongue?
Yeah, and what make me more like outraged is to see that this man see the bodyguard pushing a woman, repushing a woman.
Yep.
And doesn't say like, please, can you just be careful, like, and or stop to push her, like she's not doing anything, like she's not aggressive, she's just asking questions, she's not touching me, but he just do nothing and just let that happen. That just show which kind of person he is.
And you know what? You're right. I would say, who do you think you are? Someone auditioning to be a member of Justin Trudeau's Royal Canadian Mounted Henchman security detail. They love to get handsy, and I speak from experience. Or maybe a member of the Ottawa Police Service. At least she wasn't shot in the thigh with a cylinder like you were, Alexa. But unbelievable. And, you know, we're almost out of time, but we don't know all the details. But James O'Keefe, of course, who is the face of Project Veritas, and his him catching that doctor with Pfizer last month in the New York restaurant, that might have been their most incredible scoop in the history of Project Veritas. He's going on a paid leave. I guess we can only speculate. I hope it's not that somebody from Pfizer, because they have the means to do this, went to the board of directors at Project Veritas and dropped a manila envelope on the table containing all kinds of monetary goodies. But what do you make of this, Alexa, especially given the timing of that incredible Pfizer scoop that they had last month?
Probably he wanted also to finish that story before maybe taking a break, or I don't know, like it can be any kind of reason. I don't think he's quitting the company. I think he's staying. I don't know the full story. I was in shock when I saw that, because, you know, James O'Keefe, it's the one that we see in almost every report, and he's doing really a great job. But I was shocked because I was like, okay, this is their biggest story so far, and is living. And I was also listening like a lot of their you can do like space on Twitter and talking, and I was listening like what they had to say about like their story and everything. And yeah, I was kind of shocked to see that.
Yeah, and again, I'm just speculating about my little fantasy of what Pfizer might be doing behind the scenes. But I heard one commentator the other day on the radio, and it was a beautiful comment. I can't remember who said it, but if Mr. O'Keefe is parting with Project Veritas full-time, how about we get Elon Musk to say by CNN and fire everybody and get non-woke journalists who are interested in getting the real story and put Mr. O'Keefe in charge of the CNN newsroom. Wouldn't that be a gift to last, Alexa?
Ooh, I don't know. I would say like so many stuff is happening recently, especially with Project Veritas and us too when we went to Davos. So we just expect that the truth get out.
Well, and that's precisely the point. I think with the mainstream media right now, the truth is not getting out. They are not doing their job. They are not exposing on either side of the border, whether it's the Trudeau Liberals or the Biden Democrats. I mean, look at the fiasco of the Hunter Biden laptop. That was purposely, that story covered up the New York Post having its Twitter account deleted right before the election. That could have turned the election. I mean, and we got to keep our eyes on what's happening right now with these ex-Twitter executives being grilled.
Yeah, but imagine if the media is reporting on, example, Project Veritas and Pfizer. Media have pushed for people to get the shot more and more and more and more.
Yep.
Now they would just go against what they actually pushed. And so afterwards, they don't want to be involved in all this contradiction. And after that, people will say, but you tell that, so it wasn't true. So I think they just want to get really far away from that. And so they don't need to explain anything to the viewer.
Well, we shall see, Alexa. I think we have reached just after 2 p.m. and I have an assignment I have to rush out to. But before we sign off, do we have any more Super Chats in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have Albert Tadon. America has 10 times the population of Canada, and they had 2 million illegal immigrants, and it is called an invasion. Trudeau target of 500,000 migrants would be the same as 5 million a year in the U.S. It's actually true.
Yeah. No, it's the factor of 10. Absolutely, Alberta Don. And there is zero political will in both countries to do anything about this. It's absolutely shameful.
And we have Laird Kintyre. Mr. Menzies, you say trans person pretend to be opposite sex. I am a proud conservative trans woman. I am not pretending. I am a woman.
Well, I'm afraid we're going to have to agree to disagree. I have no issue with people that want to live their lives in a sense, and I'm sorry if this offends you, pretending to be the other sex. As I said, you might be male or female biologically, even when you have the hormones and the surgery and you dress in the clothing of the opposite sex. At the end of the day, you are still a biological man and a biological female. And we even see that this is a problem in sports, where it used to be there were male and female divisions, with the exception of auto racing and equestrian, the automobile and the horse being the factor that makes sex irrelevant. And women's sports is being ruined right now by men pretending to be women. We have males, typically those charged with sexual assault, saying in the prison system, I'm a chick. Put me in a female penitentiary, request granted, putting the fox into the hen house. For those trans people that want to have these surgeries, these hormone shots, dress like the opposite sex, you want to mind your own business, live in suburbia, who am I to judge? You know, But when it comes to, I gave two examples, the sporting world and the prison world. And when it comes to indoctrinating young people, that this is maybe a route they should go on. That if a girl is a tomboy, oh my goodness, that's obviously a male trapped in a female body. Let's get the puberty blockers out there. That's where I draw the line.
But also for me, biological sex, it's a thing. and now you have the sex that you begin. You cannot change your sex that you born with. This is impossible to change because you're born with it. But if you don't feel comfortable in your body, and I understand that some did and wants to change for the other sex, okay, but don't. It's why they call it trans before the sex, because you have a transition. So it's why a woman that was a man before is a trans woman, and this was perfectly fine. You can like feel 100% as a woman, but you cannot change how you're born with.
And Alexa, no, you're quite right. And also what never gets a lot of publicity, because this is sort of an impolite storyline, people who are in some kind of a crisis and they think the utopia for them is to transition into the opposite sex. And you know what? They do the transition and they find out, I'm still in this mental crisis. And then they eventually re-transition back. We never talk about that. And we should talk about that because it's important. Because this is a huge life-altering step if you're going to go through, the operations and the hormone business. And yet it's getting increasingly difficult to have a conversation, much like there are scientific papers written about a disproportionate number of trans individuals who suffer from autism and Asperger's syndrome. And again, I've seen the scientists, the doctors behind those papers, condemned as transphobes. They're not transphobes. They're doing research and they're presenting their data. So this is part of the problem, Alexa. We cannot increasingly have an honest conversation about this issue.
No, because as I say, every single word that you will say, we're not being agreeing by probably the community, and you will just being targeted by the community because you're not thinking in the same line of thinking than them. But the thing is, like, we should be free to say whatever we want. It's not it's nothing racist. It's nothing homophobic. It's just what it is. And it's important to talk about different issue for making everybody live better together. But now the thing is, like, because you have like a limit of what we can say, that just create the polarization again in the population.
Yeah, and you're right. We used to, Alexa, have a conversation, and there were benchmarks in terms of a conversation. You don't want to advocate violence or death to an individual or a group of individuals. You don't want to be libelous or slanderous. But now the benchmark in 2023, Alexa, is we don't want to cause hurt feelings. That's the be all and end all. If what you say is the truth, but it offends somebody's sensibilities, you must be censored. And I think that's despicable.
Everything that doesn't go with the line of thinking that we have right now need to be censored. This is the new society today.
And Alexa, as I said at the very top of the show, all the news that's fit to print day in terms of the mainstream media, if you and I, the last 10 minutes of this discussion, if you and I were on a mainstream radio station, talk radio, having this discussion, our careers are kaput, even though we said nothing wrong. We just stated the truth. Yeah. That's, there is censorship, and it's going to get worse with Bill C-11, folks. But what is even worse than censorship, Alexa, is self-censorship. I bet you there are members, even in the mainstream media, that agree with what we're saying, but they know better, i.e., let's not rock the boat, because I kind of like getting that paycheck every 2 weeks, and if I say something insensitive, I'm going to walk the plank. And even though we even give first-degree murderers in this country a second chance once they do their 25 years, there is no second chance for wrong thought. That is a death sentence. You are canceled, as in canceled forever.
And I will let people on one of my biggest questions of the people that come from the community. Are you not outraged to see people playing that card, pretending they are in your community, but they have already, like they have issue, and they play that card and they make look the community foolish?
Yeah, and I can't remember if I said this earlier. I think I did. At the Halton District School Board meeting on Wednesday, there is a member of the trans community speaking out against Busty Lemieux. So what does that tell you? If somebody even from that community is saying, this is grotesque, this is wrong, this should not be tolerated, then by what basis are the Halton District School Board trustees and employees still protecting this individual? And as far as I know, I don't think there's any trans members of the Halton District School Board. It is just, Alexa, wokeism for the sake of wokeism.
I think this is the good word for the end.
Okay, then. Well, thank you so much, Alexa, for filling in for Sheila Gunn Reid. It was a pleasure. And also thanks to super producers Efren and Olivia behind the boards. And thank you for everybody that tuned in. And a special thank you to those who gave a financial contribution. Much appreciated. What can I say? TGIF, that it's Friday. We'll be back again on Monday. At least two of us will be. We'll have to see who that will be. In the meantime, folks, as always, stay safe and stay sane.
The Prime Minister is being criticized across the country and from within his own party as being unnecessarily divisive and unable to improve national unity or economic growth. Well, here's a golden opportunity. Come to the table and work collaboratively with Alberta on probably the most important economic issue facing this country in a generation. I'm opening the door, but I also have to be pretty clear. If the Prime Minister chooses to slam this door in our face and moves unilaterally forward with just transition or other impossible and arbitrary emissions targets or policies with